Welcome back to T24 podcast by Bunmi Odulaja, which caters for every aspect of your life as a single, or if you're in a relationship that you're hoping that will lead to marriage. And even if you're married, there's something for everyone. In this series, which is the 4 essential qualities in marriage, I'll be walking through with you from my experience as a trained counselor, coach, mentor, and a mediator. And someone that also leads the marriage ministry and the counseling ministry in my local church. So this is the 4th and final episode in the series. In the last topic, we looked at how you move from, competing to complementing your spouse. We talked about the fact that there are signs that you are competing more than you're complementing. We also gave you tips on how you can address this if this is where you found yourself. So in this episode, we're going to discuss affirmation and not affliction. Allow me to cast your mind back to your wedding day and your wedding vows. Yes, for some of us, that's almost 3 decades ago, but I still remember. Right, so I'm going to read out to you here now. So this is a standard marriage vows. Today and always, I choose you as my partner for life. I take you as my spouse to have and to hold from this day forward, for better and for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness or in health, to love and to cherish until death do us part. That's what most people would have said as, even if you wrote your own personal vows. So those keywords would still be in it. These are some of the keywords that I want to kind of pull out from the standard marital vows. And I want to flag them up to you, if I may. The first one says choose. So you made a choice in marrying your spouse, right? The second one I want to pick up there is love and cherish. If you love and cherish something, for the men, this might be your cars. And for ladies, this might be your shoes, your bags, your wigs. Yes, I know. We ladies have more stuff. But jokes apart, right? Whatever you cherish, whatever you love, you definitely will protect. Most men would do anything to protect their cars. Likewise, the women would do anything to protect their wigs, their bags, their shoes, right? So, if that is true, why is it that some of us are not prepared to put such protection around our marriages? If a man would build a garage to put his car, if a woman would go to the extent of, having a working wardrobe where she can have her wig stands so that our wigs are not crippled, why aren't we putting the same kind of vigor and protection around our marriages? I have been in marriage counseling situations with married couples, and the level of affliction that they have inflicted on each other, sometimes mind-blowing. Really mind-blowing. Affliction is a cause of pain or harm. It is misery. It is, menace, trouble, suffering, torment, tribulation, adversary, plague. Wow. You might be thinking, nah, that's not me. However, if your actions are not bringing joy and gladness to your spouse, you might in fact be afflicting them. Exodus 3:17 says, And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt onto the land of Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hittites and the Jebusites, onto a land flowing with milk and honey. Think about it. Would you describe your home as a place which flows with milk and honey? These are nourishments. Does your spouse feel nourished in the relationship? Do you have peace of mind? Affliction could take the form of physical or psychological distress and even social isolation. So, what are some of the causes of affliction or pain in marriages? The first one here is unclear expectations. If expectations have not been clearly communicated and understood by both parties, one or both of you will be unhappy and might wonder, what you're doing in the marriage as your needs are not met. The second thing is unresolved issues. Truth be told, in the course of your marriage, you would often, or you might offend or be upset with each other. Life does happen. However, you should be seeking ways to resolve the issues. If you sweep them under the carpet, you will have pain, lack of joy, and possibly resentment in future. The third point here is immaturity. If the focus is still on you, about you, me, myself, and I, as a married person, then you are really not at the maturity level for marriage. Maturity in this sense is not about your biological age. It's about you being mature and being willing to put your spouse's needs before yours. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that your spouse should only take and not give, because that would make them immature. But it's about it's about not seeking your own interest all the time, but about seeking about how you add value also to your spouse. The final point here is about external factors. There are times that we allow external factors to bring about division or cause pain and steal the joy of, in our marriages. External factors could be things such as other people, so your family, your friends, money, your career, your business, and sometimes maybe your unhealthy desires can also be an issue here. Matthew 19:6 says, "Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate." So, my question therefore to you is, what steps are you taking to guard your marriage against external factors? If the point raised above are not addressed in a safe and healthy way, there would always be tension in your relationship, tension in your home. And as I said earlier, one or both of you will be unhappy. Now, let's look at affirmation. Affirmation is emotional support or encouragement. It can be an endorsement, an assurance, a defense. To be honest, when I came across the word defense, I'm like, oh, defense? As an example of affirmation? Yeah. I was initially surprised, but as I thought about it further and going back to some of the things that I said earlier, you protect what you value. So I guess you would defend what you value. Let's move on now. How do you go about affirming and not afflicting your spouse? I hear you ask. First thing I'll say to you to do is seek out opportunity to praise, encourage, and compliment. In the course of your day, there would always be something you can compliment. There will always be something you can praise. It doesn't matter how small. Seek peace and not fighting to win. You can win that battle, but you lose the war, which is against your marriage. Seek personal growth rather than criticism. Focus on what your spouse can change, what they can control. Your marriage must be a safe haven for you and your spouse. So I want to leave you, as we round off this, with some scripture that I hope would help you as you start to move towards affirmation in your marriage. Proverbs 24, 3-4 says, "By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures." Ecclesiastes 4, 9-10 says, "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up." I hope the scriptures speak to you and they bless you. And as I would always say, if the content of this podcast has in any way triggered you, please do seek professional counselor support or support from your local church. Thank you for listening to T24 podcast by Bunmi Odulaja. And I will see you in a future series. Thank you.